it's about those fresh starts. You get a fresh start when you first arrive, and then you get another fresh start when you go to that next level. So I think the kids really respond to that and appreciate that opportunity, which is why we're excited about the potential growth of this model. Not just what we're doing in the classroom, but more focus in the educational community on creating spaces specifically for middle schoolers.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our next episode. This is Aryeh Eisenberg from Edu-Together, and it's great to have you with us. I want to take this opportunity to introduce our special guest today, Eric Lerch, who is the head of school of the Dietrich Bonhoeffer Academy in Bel Air, Texas. Eric, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me today. Appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure, really. And I want to just start off with a little bit of an introduction as to the Dietrich Bonhoeffer Academy and what you guys do and what you are, or DBA for short, as we see on your shirt. I think DBA is so unique in the fact that you are a middle school only campus. Is that correct?
Yes, we're one of the few private middle school onlys dedicated specifically to serving early adolescents and their unique needs, and also wonderful opportunities and possibilities.
Wow, that is unique. I think we both know that many of the schools that we are familiar with are either upper schools or elementary schools, and it's very rare to find a standalone middle school. So you guys must be doing great work, and what you're doing is certainly very important. Take us through a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the school, how it started, and what you guys try to do on that daily basis.
Absolutely. Well, the founding of the institution occurred a little over 4 years ago in the midst of the pandemic, when so many of us in the educational field were thinking about alternative approaches to supporting students. And when we looked at the educational landscape, there was a real need for this often overlooked population of middle school, where they're going through such a critical transition, almost transformation, as they get new bodies, new brains, and are really developing an identity. And we wanted to start a school, build a community that would really reflect their individual needs, and harness the energy and enthusiasm of this age group in a good way. So after a couple years of planning and preparation, we opened our doors in the fall of 2022 with just a handful of students. Last spring, we graduated our first set of students.
So nice.
Heading off into high school, and now we are one quarter into our third year with multiple learning groups, and just trying to build out this vision and dream for what middle school education can be.
Wow, that is so amazing. I remember back when I started teaching, one of my mentors once said to me, and I didn't know what she meant by this until later on, but she said to me, she said, you can decide to teach at any of the different division stops along the way. She said, though, a great teacher is a teacher that can really that can really find success at the middle school level, and I didn't know what she meant by that, but I also later on had the opportunity to teach middle school for a few years, and I can really appreciate what you're saying, that it really, those years are so important in the development, in the upbringing, and even in the educational side of our students. Yet sometimes in the bigger picture, those are the 3 years that are kind of just breeze through almost, and it's very common that sometimes we see that the time isn't really taken to go through that developmental process the way it should be going, and it's great that you guys have really made that a focus of what you do.
Yeah, it's a really delicate balance between, you really need to meet the kids where they're at in terms of coming out of elementary school and they have physical needs, they have social needs, they have emotional needs, and all of that needs to be taken into account when building the learning program. Of course, you also have high school looming. So what are the tools you need to equip them with for high school? But do we just have to settle for that? And are there tools that they can use even down the road, both in the social and in the executive functioning realm, that will not only be useful to them at the next educational stop, but even beyond that in their lives? And this, we believe this age provides an opportunity to start doing some things with that.
That's for sure. That definitely true. You have an amazing tagline, amazing slogan of the school on your. I noticed this when I first looked at your website: reimagining learning and changing lives. And to me, as an educator, as somebody who's been in the administrative side of things, that's just, those words are almost magical. Reimagining learning and changing lives. Tell us a little bit about what that means for DBA and how you bring that approach to your students.
Yeah, so the first part about reimagining learning really goes through how do we look at what middle schoolers need and build a school day that really reflects that. So, for example, we have some fairly traditional learning activities that happen in the morning. So they build those core skills of math and reading and writing and note taking and things like that. But it's in the morning when we know they have a little bit more focus, a little bit more attention before some of that full energy has really kicked in during the afternoon. We still value recess and physical activity as a huge priority for this age group.
Important.
That morning recess time and lunch activity time is not just important, dare I say sacred. It is so vital for helping them have that physical time, but also build those social skills in a more unstructured framework while still maintaining that supervision. And then in the afternoon, again, we do a lot of exciting things in our morning classes as well, but having an intentional time every afternoon for interactive or interdisciplinary or project-based learning that both is going to expand their minds, but also the type of activities that they're able and excited to do in the afternoon before your PEs and your arts and whatnot. So part of it is really just looking at, okay, you have this junior high school light model, which maybe does some good preparation, but doesn't really meet where they're at physically and mentally. What is that next step coming out of elementary school to both challenge them, but also give them real engaging learning opportunities? And that's really what it's about, doing these types of lessons and learning activities where they're up, they're moving around, whether it's simulations, whether it's science labs, whatever we can do to get them moving and talking and interacting with each other and the academic material in new, exciting, and engaging ways. We're really trying to push that as much as possible. The changing lives really came on just as we actually got the program started and saw the effect on the students, where kids whose parents had to drag them out of beds in the morning are now excited to go to school. They're happy when they're working, and reestablishing that sort of joy and curiosity in the learning process. That just cannot be underestimated. You've got to you've got to create a space where kids can feel like they still can be kids while also being, again, challenged to work on some of these areas: social, organizational, academic. It's all there, but it's really a place that's theirs, that they can buy into the process, and it's really making a difference in terms of the learning outcomes.
Wow. I think you hit on some really important points there. I think one of the things that you mentioned that just made me stop and think was that at the middle school level, your students are excited and happy to be coming to school. And I think that's something that I think any middle school administrators who are listening or watching this podcast are thinking, what's the secret sauce? How do I bring that? Because I think, you touched on this before, Eric, that each age group has its own challenges and its own way of doing things, but certainly we all know from even our own lives or our own experience as parents that especially during those middle school years, sometimes just getting the kids up and ready and out of the house with certainly with a smile on their face is not an easy thing. So you guys must be must be making it happen, and that's exciting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some things in the learning program we think that really facilitate it. There are also some things institutionally in terms of, we do believe that a smaller size where we can focus on the kids' needs, give them some personalization, really know them as human beings, and show that care and compassion for what they're going through. We're a little smaller than we envision ourselves growing in the future, but we always see ourselves maintaining, smaller classes and smaller learning communities, because kids this age need that support, need that attention, and really need to be known. So the small size does that. I do think also the middle school only helps out with that a lot as well. It's not a K through 12 where the middle schoolers are trying to play up, or
Right.
they can just be themselves. They can be kids, and it gives them that this is an important time in your life to work through some things, and we're giving you that space and your own area to, admittedly, hey, you make mistakes at this age. We all make mistakes, but we
Sure.
especially make mistakes in middle school. This is a time to learn your way through those mistakes with a growth mindset. And then you get that fresh start in a new community in ninth grade. So it's about those fresh starts. You get a fresh start when you first arrive, and then you get another fresh start when you go to that next level. So I think the kids really respond to that and appreciate that opportunity, which is why we're excited about the potential growth of this model. Not just what we're doing in the classroom, but more focus in the educational community on creating spaces specifically for middle schoolers.
For sure. I mean, you mentioned earlier that the morning is more spent on the traditional subjects, and then the afternoon is the focused more on the project-based learning and the interactive learning. Your students must have a pretty full day. What time does your school day start? What time do they finish? Do students stay after school beyond that? What sometimes when we think about the school day, we're thinking like, 8 to 1 or 8 to 2 or eight, but you're cramming a lot in there, and that's exciting to hear.
Yeah, I think with the school day, I mean, we start at 8:30 in the mornings and we go to 3:30 in the
Wow,
afternoon.
that's a long
And
day.
it is a full day. That's where the recess times come in,
Sure.
having an extended lunch period, having a community time period after the lunch where they have time to cool their engines, coming in from lunch and get refocused for the rest of the day, and the opportunity to finish their day off, whether it's artistically or physical education, in a less stressed academic way. It's all very intentional in terms of making the most of the time during the day. And so it's that balance of the freedom and flexibility that helps in working with middle schoolers, but also a little bit of the routine that they need. So it's always familiar, but it's always a little bit different. So that's always a nice balance to strike. There is also sort of the weekly routine where, we're not doing weekend homework and we're really trying to tie a bow on each week. So doing a lot of the, heavy duty instruction Monday through Wednesday, a little bit into Thursday. And then there's, some different assessment towards the end of the week. And we actually get out a little bit earlier on Friday afternoon.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
3:00. And we have this really neat thing where the students break up into teams and they clean the rooms and reset the rooms for the next week. And it's
Nice.
the best thing in the world, seeing middle schoolers working together, wiping dry erase boards, cleaning tables, sweeping and mopping floors, the teamwork, the practical skills of it. And it's Friday afternoon and middle schoolers are getting something, a valuable life lesson done and taking care of their spaces responsibly. It's a really neat thing to watch at the end of the week.
That is incredible to hear. Good for you guys to talk. Obviously, besides the basic skills that you're teaching them, it teaches so many other important aspects that they can take with them, like you said, to their next steps. The pride and the responsibility and the teamwork, and that's such a great way of doing it. So that's really amazing to hear. You mentioned a couple of times that you consider DBA to be a small school. What does that mean? Like how many students do you guys have in the school right now?
So we currently have 13 students, and they're kind of broken up into learning groups of varying size. We have one learning group with 4 students, one with 3 students, a larger one with 6 students. And it's, based on primarily on grade level, but also a little bit on some different learning styles in the older group. Again, we've got some flexibility to do that with our size to match the activities to the needs of the student.
It's great. Yeah.
We're very early on in the process of growing our school with year 3, and we did talk about, we do want to offer, some extracurricular opportunities. I mean, this upcoming Saturday, we've got one small group of students going to a debate competition, first time.
Oh, nice.
That, and then another few students are going to run in a cross country meet. So there's some little activities and things like that that we can do. But really, I mean, this model can grow out to having, 2 6th grade classes with, 8 to 10, maybe even 12, with, a couple classrooms at 6th, 7th, and 8th, so that's possibly a community as large as 60, 70, low 70s, somewhere in there. But, yeah, it's all relative, and
right.
We're really small right now, but can see just being more moderately small in the future, both in terms of the average class size and the larger community, which should be a good balance.
Well, listen, I think your students are incredibly lucky to be in a school where really, like we said before, the learning and the academics are about their needs. With 13 students, it's not a question of what the general population is doing. It's a question of what does each student need to be successful. And that is so important, but it's something that a lot of the larger schools, as we know, are not able to take such a personalized approach. And the fact that you're able to do that is it's a gift for the students. And that's so amazing to hear.
Yeah. And it facilitates both in terms of some of the curriculum issues where like the math is very personalized. So in a room, we
Absolutely.
might have 2 or 3 math groups working that socially and learning wise are on the level, but there's different math levels in the room. And we've got the flexibility to personalize the math curriculum. But also it really comes in the skills program where we're really trying to teach organization is a huge thing. I mean, you have the stereotypical middle schooler, which is the papers flying out of the backpack, the notebooks everywhere. We
I
really
don't
want
know
to,
what you mean. What would that never
yeah,
happen?
that's a big thing we're trying to target in the skills program. So we have, a sort of daily organizational period, towards the end of the day, making sure they've got everything organized and are ready to take care of any business that they need to at home. And so when you have those numbers and this flexibility, you can go through several kids' binders, every other day or
At
something
one
like
shot,
that,
yeah.
and know
Mm.
which of your students need maybe a little extra helping hand in terms of, okay, we've got all our assignments written down, we've got everything, everything ready to go. So it's yes, it helps out in what people think about in terms of traditional subjects, but it also really helps out when we're coaching them on these organizational skills as well. It makes
Absolutely. I'm sure. And like I said before, the students, I hope they know how lucky they are to get this personalized attention, because as we know, personalization at this level certainly does not exist at most traditional school settings. So that's really, I think, an amazing thing. Let me ask you another related question, though. As we all know from our homes and our own social circles, I'm sure that when you have a group of 13 middle school students, I'm sure sometimes there are social conflicts, there are arguments, there are disagreements. How do you guys deal with that close-knit atmosphere? Because while most of the times I'm sure it's amazing to have such a small group, I'm sure there are also times where conflict can occur and disagreements can come out. How do you guys work with the students to overcome those disagreements and those conflicts that might come up?
Yeah, so the social emotional learning is an important component of what we do. We have on Tuesdays, our community time after lunch is dedicated specifically to working on those things, and you
Mm,
map things out and say, okay, we're going to spend some time on this executive functioning skill or something like that. But really, at the beginning of the year and what we've been doing for the last couple of months is focusing a lot of that time on giving the kids language for different social emotional learning things. One
mm.
of my new teachers this year, Mrs. Jamie Saunier, she's just been a huge, wonderful addition to our community, having a great, strong foundation in this social emotional learning.
Wow.
And she's kind of taken that time and really run with it, giving the kids some language, both for classroom deportment and for conflict resolution in terms of working with the other students. So, I mean, the big thing is it has to be a part of your day. It has to be intentional. It has to be incorporated into what you are doing as a school. And you have to have buy-in across the faculty, and especially one
Very
or more
important.
persons who really committed to doing it the right way. And feel really fortunate to add Jamie to the faculty team this year, bringing that particular skill set in. My background is as a football coach, so push-ups
Well,
and laps isn't always the best
with
conflict
13
resolution for.
students, you might be a little bit premature for the football team, but you'll get
Yeah.
there. You'll get there.
It's great to give them this language for dealing with that stuff. But yes, it has to be an important part of what you're doing,
Absolutely.
and you have to give them consistent language that for handling those things. And that's what we try to do. And that would be a whole other podcast with maybe
Next time.
some other
Yeah.
other folks on the team who have that particular strength as well.
Well, it sounds like you guys are really looking at things from a lot of different angles and really providing the students with that big picture of education, which is so important, as we said before, especially at this age and at this point in their development. I want to just, as we start to down our conversation. And I think, Eric, I have so many, I think there's so much we could talk about in middle school education and what you guys are doing. We could probably sit here for hours, but I won't make you do that. Don't worry. But I'm curious. I learned something. I'm a history teacher myself by trade, and I learned something new when I first met you, and I learned about the school, and that was about your school's namesake, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Can you? I don't know how many people are familiar with who who he was, and what he stood for. Could you just explain who he was and why your school is named the Dietrich Bonhoeffer Academy? Because I read his story and it was so inspiring to me.
Yeah. So, Pastor Bonhoeffer was a German Lutheran pastor, and during the years of the Nazi regime in Germany leading up to World War II, had a really interesting life in terms of his scholarship. He also happened to really enjoy working with confirmation students, which is the middle school age. So
Yeah.
he had this passion. He spent some time in America, where he really got interested in African American spirituals through his time at a black church in Harlem. And just his really, really neat life story up until the point where he had a decision to make. And would he stay kind of safely in America, or go back and really fight this evil regime in Nazi Germany? And he went back and did it. And eventually he was martyred. I mean, he was on Hitler's actual kill list. He was
Wow.
executed just a few weeks before the end of the war on April 9th, 1945. And so Bonhoeffer's life intersects, and one other note, there is a movie coming out about his life out here
Wow.
in November. So would commend that to folks. That's going to be a field trip for our kids.
I'm
So,
sure.
but there was certainly a number of ways his life intersected with our mission in terms of serving middle schoolers. But really, one of the core values of our school, courage, is we talk about, we know right from wrong. I mean, we believe we've got this good innate sense of understanding right from wrong. The question is, do we have the courage to follow through on those convictions? And Pastor Bonhoeffer, along with many other people of faith who were inspired really by their faith, their belief in a power greater than themselves, to make sacrifices for others, to help others, and stand for what was right in challenging times. And so, yeah, we wanted a name that was relevant, that was more modern, and getting to the big picture that, yes, these academic skills are really important to your future. The social and organizational skills, really key part of our part of our approach, is also really significant. But also, character ultimately goes a long way. And
Absolutely.
it is Pastor Bonhoeffer's life is highly representative of our character program, and really pushing our students to be kind. That's always really challenging during middle school, but pushing them to be kind and being willing to do different things. And so holding up different individuals who have gone through difficult things in their life and stood on the right side, is, I think it's important to continue to hold up those role models for kids. Especially, there can be cynicism that creeps in adolescence, and so again, there's a lot more to kind of go in there in terms of the faith-based component and the character component, but hopefully that gives everybody a little
Yeah.
sense of why that's so important.
Well, I think it's such a great message to instill in the students, that our kindness, our character, are really what define us. And like you said, the academics are so important, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's the what type of people are we, and what do we do for others, and what do we do to make the world better? And it sounds like you're really giving your students such an amazing foundation that they're able to act on now, but also able to take with them as they go on to further education and hopefully later on in their lives as well. And that's so inspiring to hear. So that's amazing.
That's great. Yeah, with education, you really want to plant those seeds. You never know when
Absolutely.
it's going to bear fruit, and it's really important at this time when they're forging those new identities to make sure that they're understanding what it is about treating people the right way, and having a positive impact on others. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, Eric, it sounds like DBA is really an amazing place for your students to learn and to grow up and to develop as productive students and people. And it sounds like you guys are really building a great program. And I want to first of all thank you, Eric, for taking the time to speak today. It was really inspiring for me to hear about what you're doing and how you guys are providing such important services to your students. For those people, Eric, who might be in the Houston area or who might want to find out more about Dietrich Bonhoeffer Academy, what's the best way for people to get more information? Should they go to the website? Is there another place they can go, or what's the best?
Yeah, so obviously just going to our website, and can reach out directly to me via email. If I'm always happy to chat about our program with people who are interested in educational entrepreneurship or just want to know more about what's going on. You can follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and just kind of
Nice.
sharing some of the fun stuff that we're doing. And so there's lots of ways to keep tabs. But no, thank you for having me on. I just love talking about what we're building here at DBA. We think we're off to a great start, but maybe I'll come back in a couple years and update and
Anytime.
even more exciting things about what we're
Well,
learning and discovering about this wonderful and precious age group. Very, very critical.
absolutely.
Can't,
You
can't
guys,
say can't say it enough.
you guys are doing great work. So continued success to you. And we're looking forward to hearing more about the amazing accomplishments that DBA has and about the great work you're doing. So Eric, Lerch, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching this episode. This is Aryeh Eisenberg. If you'd like to find out more about our podcast or about Edu-Together, please visit us at www.edutogether.org. And until next time, enjoy, and we'll look forward to seeing you back soon. Take care, everybody.